All right, welcome back. Now, I shared this video somewhere. Where did I share this? Uh, it was in the community section, either publicly or with the members. Also shared a link in the description box as well as in the chat room. Now, where did I originally share this? Let me check here for your convenience. Okay, I shared this publicly 3 hours ago. It was uploaded 5 years ago. I don't remember ever dealing with this video. Do any of you? I don't remember. I tried to sift through my archives on both channels. Really my original channel, because my original channel is the only channel that stretches back 5 years. I don't see where I covered this video. I'm going to deal with it now. Now, this is not just an interview. They also take callers. And the people who call in are pit nutters. I said they're all pit nutters. Hardcore pit nutters. So Dr. Kenneth, Attorney Kenneth Phillips is taking on the everyday pit nutter. You got my attention. Now, for those who don't know, Kenneth Phillips pioneered the anti-dog movement. Pioneered the anti-pit bull movement. Pioneered it. He started in the early 90s. That Super Bowl commercial, I believe, was 1999. But according to him, he's been at it since the early 90s. Okay? So this is the man, the godfather of the crusade right here. And he's going head to head with nutters, which I knew was entertaining before I even listened to it. Like, oh boy, you know what kind of nutter is about to call up. They're about to call up with that goofy pit nutter rhetoric. Let's get into it. Now, this interview was uploaded on Rover's Morning Glory. Be sure to and subscribe to this channel because this guy has a number of videos on dogs. Let me show you here. Dumb ex-wife decides to keep their dog even after son bit in face. A dumb's son gets it. So this guy is seems to be a critic of dog culture. Let's just put it like that, okay? You see the types of content he has when he deals with dogs. So be sure to follow this guy. The interview is on his channel. Let's get into it. Let's go full screen here.
The numbers with regard to the pit bull killings are astronomical. I mean,
one more before we get started, people. He came on here to roast these people. He's on here roasting them. I'm not exaggerating.
Last year, pit bulls killed 29 out of the 39 people who were killed. In the last 12 years, they've killed about 275 Americans. So they're bad. Now, what I wanted with this video was to reach people, moms and dads, who were about to go to a shelter to get a doggie for their boy or girl, and who don't know what is risky and what is not risky. The point with pit bulls that I'm trying to make is that pit bulls are intolerably risky. That's the point. Not that every single one of them is going to kill somebody. That's absurd. The figures that you read off from the video are the figures from last year. 8 children were killed by pit bulls, but by other dogs, only 7 children were killed.
Now, and so pit bulls, you're saying 8 killed by pit bulls.
8 children were killed by pit bulls.
And 7 from all other dog breeds combined.
Combined.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you give me, I had a woman call in, I said earlier today, I said that you were going to come on the show. Yeah. And I said that, pit bulls make up the majority of deaths by dog. And this woman said, well, that's because there are more pit bulls than any other kind of dog. She says it's the most populous breed of dog in the United States. I said, I don't think so.
Okay. Look, they make up maybe 5% of dogs. Okay, so you'd figure that they would be responsible for 5% of the killings, right?
Yes.
However, they're responsible for 75% of the killings.
Now, so they are not. So they don't make up.
Let me also add that the shelters are overflowing with these things. And they still account for some 75% of deaths in maulings. That is deep. When they're the same dogs that are overflowing shelters all across the country.
Yes.
However, they're responsible for 75% of the killings.
Now, so they are not, so they don't make up, they're not the most populous or most popular dog breed. This woman was completely wrong. You're telling me only 5% of dogs are pit bulls.
Of course. And in fact, they're probably the most unpopular breed in the country. Why do I say that?
Now, let me... okay, he's about to touch on the shelters.
Because pit bulls fill our animal shelters.
Most unpopular breed out there. Now, when you're dealing with the pit bull population, it's always tricky because, are they only talking about the pure pit bull terrier, American pit bull terrier, or are they saying that all of the bully breeds make up 5% of the whole dog population? I'm not sure. But if you count all bully breeds, they still don't make up the majority, and they're still a small percentage of the dog population. And the fact that they fill the shelters the way that they do means that there should be fewer of them in society. It should be harder for them to account for 75% of deaths and mutilations.
Animal shelters are overflowing with pit bulls. Every year in the United States, 1/3 of the entire pit bull population is euthanized. Every single year. The dog is being overproduced. That's why so many people say that there need to be restrictions on pit bulls. I feel pit bulls should be banned because if you ban them, you will end a whole lot of problems, a whole lot of human suffering. It's not only human. In addition to killing those 29 out of the 39 people who were killed last year, pit bulls are the #1 killers of other people's pets. They kill over 90% of all the dogs, cats, horses, and farm animals that are killed by dogs every year.
Now, also keep in mind, like I said, he's been at it since the 90s. His website reflects it. If you want to look up facts on pit bulls, like say to use in a debate against a pit bull advocate, his website probably provides the most ammunition for you. I've gone over that website, the information on that website several times. He's really tearing into the pit bull lovers.
There's so much damage from these dogs, it's unbelievable.
So, in your practice, how many of the cases are pit bull cases as opposed to poodles or something? And because every dog will bite. They always say, "Well, I was attacked by a poodle when I was a kid." I go, "Yeah, you're still alive." If you're attacked by a pit bull, you might not be.
Exactly.
How many of the cases in your law practice are pit bulls, and how many are other breeds?
Well, the serious cases tend to be pit bulls. Because I have so many cases. I have so many cases. So it's not a question of, did you get bit by a dog? That's one thing. But the question is, what dog is going to kill what dog is going to disfigure or disable. And the cases that I've had, like, for example, all my deaths...
Right. And when you answer that question, that's one of the things that separates bully breeds from all other dogs. That's to all the advocates who say that these things are no different from other breeds. That is insane.
Have been pit bulls, all of them. Cases where someone's face is ripped off, usually a pit bull. It can be another dog. I'm not saying no other dog bites. What I'm saying is what it is that the doctors say, what it is that all of the studies...
Notice how he refers to the professionals. Pit bull advocates never do stuff like this when they're making their cases. He, as a professional, is referring to the facts, the information, and the doctor testimony. There's nothing more solid than that. That's why these pit nutters lose the debate every single time.
I'm saying no other dog bites. What I'm saying is what it is that the doctors say, what it is that all of the studies by the cities, by the states have come out with, which is that this breed is responsible for the worst damage.
Now, another argument that I hear, Kenneth, is that that a lot of dogs and these dog bites that you're citing are not really pit bulls. They're other kinds of dogs or mixes of dogs, and people just think they're pit bulls.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay. You see, this is one of the reasons why I changed my mind about what has to be done about pit bulls. For 20 years, I was against breed-specific laws. In other words, laws against pit bulls or other high-risk dogs. 20 years, I advocated against it. I gave them 20 years to do something about the dog or do something to educate people about the dangers of the dog, as pit bull organizations around the world have done in other countries. But what they do, instead of making changes in the dog or instead of educating people properly, the pit bull lovers came out with a whole lot of sheer bull. I call it the distinction between pit bull and pit truth. The truth of the matter is, if you mix another dog with a pit bull, you get a dangerous dog. So yeah, some of them are mixed.
Boom. Okay? And pit bull advocates, they act like they don't understand this.
They're not all purebred. Oh. Sure. So yeah, some other dog with a pit bull. The truth of the matter is, if you mix another dog with a pit bull, you get a dangerous dog. So yeah, some of them are mixed. They're not all purebred. Sure. But that's the problem. That once you mix it, it's like if you have a glass of water and you put some salt in it. Can you taste the salt? Yeah, you can taste the salt.
Let me go. Attorney Kenneth Phillips is on with us. He's under fire from pit bull lovers and pit bull organizations and whatever. They say that this guy spreads false information and that pit bulls are loving animals that wouldn't harm a hair on someone's head. Let's go.
Okay, so I missed this interview. So Kenneth Phillips came onto this radio program wanting all the he came on looking for smoke. The pit bull advocates are upset with him. Everybody, all the dog loving world is upset with him, and he decides to go on to this radio program to, have it out with them. And this was just 5 years ago, so I imagine it was shortly before the big lockdown of 2020. Okay, so understand, at that time, they were still very bad. Dog attacks in general, bully breed attacks during that time, 2019, was still very, very bad. They were still setting records around that time. All right, let's continue.
To Nick, you're on with Ken Phillips. Good morning, Nick.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hey, man.
Hey, so I just wanted to comment. Pit bulls are only fierce if trained that way. They don't just get born and all of a sudden they're just this fierce, ferocious dog that's willing to attack anything.
No, wrong. You're wrong. Because listen to this. Most of the time when pit bulls kill somebody, they kill their owners' children, or their owner's parents. Most of the time when they kill something. And that's also most of the time when they do something less than killing, biting, mauling, disfiguring. Most of the time.
But he says that this guy's trying to say they're training them to be vicious. Is that?
Yeah. I trained my dog to kill my son. Yeah. Right. Does it sound right to you?
No. See, he came on to roast. Mr. Phillips came on this radio program to roast pit nutters. This is hilarious. And this was just, I don't know if this program took place 5 years ago, but he is still at it. This is hilarious. These people still getting roasted by the OG of this whole thing from the 90s. That is so sad.
The time.
But he says that this guy's trying to say they're training them to be vicious. Is that?
Yeah. I trained my dog to kill my son. Yeah. Right. Does it sound right to you?
No.
But all right.
Okay. Now, we all know that pit nutter crazy logic, this idea that they only attack if they're trained that way. We can't count the number of cases where the people said they raised the thing from a puppy, never trained it to be vicious. That's a bunch of nonsense. These things are violent when they come out the womb. We all know that. They were bred for fighting a long time ago. The breeding process to make them violent was completed a long time ago. They are inherently more dangerous, and when they launch attacks, they don't stop, and they launch more ferocious, damaging attacks. These people are just plumb out of their mind, just plumb wrong, who say that they only attack, again, as we've heard several times, retrievers retrieve, rat terriers kill rats, right? So, but when it comes to pit bulls, it's all about how they are raised. No.
People will say, well, these are animals that were used. The ones that are attacking must have been abused or used in dog fighting. My pit bull pet would never turn on me or my family. I hear that argument all the time.
You know, you see, this is the difference between anecdotal evidence and statistical evidence. People will say, my dog is a good dog. But then to conclude that all of them are good dogs is literally ridiculous. That's like saying, I voted for Hillary, therefore she must be president. Well, no, it's not just your vote. It's not just what you think about your dog.
See, we shouldn't even have this discussion. The statistics are very simple. All you should have to do is share the statistics. There's nothing to ask. Don't tell me about your personal experience with your mutt or with any pit bulls you know. It should be common sense that you can't judge the entire breed based on your personal experience with one or two of them. That should be common sense. Okay, I don't even like having this discussion no more.
Therefore, she must be president. Well, no, it's not just your vote. It's not just what you think about your dog. It's what the numbers say.
Kenneth.
Oh, my goodness. Why don't they get this? Why don't they get this? Why do they insist on embarrassing themselves over and over with this nonsense?
You're on with attorney Kenneth Phillips. Good morning, Candace.
Hello. First-time caller, long-time listener. I was calling almost to say what you had just said about there are many, many, many dogs who are very abused. And if there are more dogs that are being abused, obviously those are going to turn on you. And if you're accounting for all the dogs in the United States, you're also including all the dogs that are dog show dogs and all these other dogs. Of course, those dogs aren't attacking anybody. They're sitting on $500 chairs with $500 collars. They're not attacking anybody. These aren't the kind of dogs that we're talking about here.
You hear what she's saying? She's saying, look at show dogs. Show dogs are not violent. They don't attack anybody. They're sitting on $500 chairs. People, this is face palm worthy stuff that she's saying right here. Don't make the mistake of assuming that she's saying anything intelligent. Okay, prepare yourself to cringe and be slightly confused. Hopefully y'all caught what this woman is saying. And then she assumes this wild assumption that dogs that launch attacks were abused it has no basis. It has no credibility, that argument. It's a wild guess, especially also it goes against the testimony of many of the owners of the dogs, where numerous people have said, I raised it from a puppy, never been abused. None of that nonsense. Many of them have come from reputable breeders. So stop with that. Wild guesses don't work in the real world.
Just said about there are many, many, many dogs who are very abused. And if there are more dogs that are being abused, obviously those are going to turn on you.
So we're supposed to assume that all the dogs that launch an attack on somebody was abused. Stop with that. Lord, this is goofy. And if that's the case, then let's not take the chance. Let's assume every stray dog where you don't know the history of was abused and put them all down. That make more sense than taking the chance and throwing them inside of homes.
And if you're accounting for all the dogs in the United States, you're also including all the dogs that are dog show dogs and all these other dogs. Of course, those dogs aren't attacking anybody.
Well, dog show dogs, those, of course, they're not attacking anybody. That's what she said.
Being on $500 chairs with $500 collars. They're not attacking anybody. These aren't the kind of dogs that we're talking about here. If you get down to what the real numbers are, let's talk about these actual dogs that are killing people and what their lifestyles are like.
Well, I don't think dog show dogs probably make up 1/100th of 1% of the population of dogs in the United States. So I don't think there are a lot of dog show dogs running around.
Not only that, those dogs fight too. Those dogs attack people. What's wrong with y'all? There are plenty of videos available online. Those dogs are always either fighting another dog or attacking people. I just recently showed a video of that happening. So, once again, pit nutters calling up, not having the slightest idea what they're talking about. They just go out there and freestyle. Throw out a bunch of wild guesses, stuff that they think sounds good.
Around. Kenneth, what do you say to that? That she says, well, they're more likely to be abused. That's why they attack more.
There's no doubt that the pit bull is the most abused dog on the planet. It is the dog that is used in dog fighting. A lot of these dogs are, when you see them in the shelter, they're scarred.
And understand the abuse cases are inflated. The abuse cases are inflated when it comes to bully breeds, because any bully breed they find with a nick or any type of injuries, they assume that some human was abusing it, when that's a lie. That thing could have been attacking a bunch of people, and those people was defending themselves against it. Okay? We wasn't there, so we can't assume that a human was abusing it.
From battle scars, from being used in that manner. They are the dog that set on fire the most. They are the dog that is used in bestiality the most.
Now that's some interesting information. Okay, again, remember, check his website. There's a whole lot of information on his website. And I believe what he just said.
They are the dog that is tortured most. There's no doubt about it. Pit bulls attract the wrong kind of people.
There you go. Attract the wrong kind of people. So, and I've said this before, those dogs, they let you know who the psychopaths are. The people who don't care about their own life, don't care about nobody else's life. You willing to own one of these things, you're psychotic, you got a low value for life. It's as simple as that. We talking about bully breeds now. This is what they were bred for.
A criminal element. So I have absolutely no quarrel with somebody saying that they are the most abused type of dog. I have no quarrel with somebody saying that when a dog attacks somebody, it's the owner's fault. I have no quarrel with that. But the problem is that there are so many of these dogs. They are in the wrong hands. The wrong people have them. They are causing so much.
Nobody should have them. The psychopaths who have a low value for life shouldn't have them. And the people who value life shouldn't have them. The people with good intentions shouldn't have them. That should be an expression of their good intentions. They're not suitable for any type of owner. I get this idea that a lot of people assume that big, strong bodybuilders, they're acceptable to own these things. The dogs owned by these types of people have attacked people. Those dogs have attacked people too. And I don't care how much weight you lift. A dog, especially a bully breed, can snatch a leash clean from out your hand, and it can snatch you off your feet, cause you to trip or anything. There is no suitable type of owner for these things.
Damage. And there's no reason for them.
Have you had cases in your practice, Ken, that someone had a pit bull and they didn't fight these dogs? They got this dog when it was a puppy. They weren't, putting it into dog fights or whatever. The dog was a loving family dog for a while, and then there was a vicious attack?
All the time. All the time.
There you go. And we all know this. So that throws that argument clean out the window. But I'm saying we still shouldn't even be having this discussion at this point. It's all because the pit bull advocates don't understand. They can't comprehend it. So they keep spewing the same debunked arguments over and over and over. So pathetic.
All the time.
Now, people never believe it when I will these stories will come up and people will call and they go no Rover, that
mentality, that's exactly why the attacks keep popping up, because people still think, no, if I raise it from a puppy it won't turn on me. Where are y'all getting that from? Especially now, we've been in the internet era over 2 decades. Now ain't no excuse to be that silly. There are far too many reports available for you.
Doesn't happen. It's the way you raise the dog. And if you raise it well, like I've raised my dog, that will...
These things have a burning desire and its instinct to attack, to kill. It's so much a part of them that they communicate with their teeth, biting. And this is with all dogs. And when you're talking about bully breeds, look at the muscularity. These things are just straight for killing and fighting.
Won't happen.
Well, Rover, you got to realize something, and that is that there are about somewhere between 4 and 5 million pit bulls in the USA. 4 and 5 million, all right? So there's probably about how many million owners? 2 million, 3 million owners. All right, so what happens is we don't hear from the millions. We don't hear from them. We hear from a small group of, you have to call them the lunatic fringe, that don't believe what they see in the news. They don't believe what the experts say. When the hospitals and the doctors come out with the studies, they don't believe those. When the cities do the breed ban...
You're dealing with low IQ people. That's basically what he's saying in a nutshell. Doctor come out and tell you, oh, I don't believe it. Oh, my experience is all that matters. You're just low IQ. I mean, let's be honest here. We're dealing with people who just say, oh, I don't believe it because of my personal experience. Okay, you're just dumb. I get it. I understand why you don't get it. No matter what, you're going to equate your personal experience with a dog. And These people only spend 20 minutes with a mutt somewhere and say, oh no, I've experienced this, all a myth, I wasn't attacked. Okay, you just dumb.
Million pit bulls in the USA, 4 and 5 million, all right? So there's probably about how many million owners? 2 million, 3 million owners. All right, so what happens is we don't hear from the millions. We don't hear from them. We hear from a small group of, you have to call them the lunatic fringe, that don't believe what they see in the news. They don't believe what the experts say. When the hospitals and the doctors come out with the studies, they don't believe those. When the cities do the breed bans, because the cities have studied what kind of dogs are causing the problem in the city, they're against the breed bans. They just won't be convinced by anything. You can't listen to them. You just can't.
This is a roasting. This is a roasting. And it's very honest. And it's important to point that out, what he just pointed out. These people are just slow. I've been going on about this. I've, had to deal with criticism and whatnot. But I've been saying, hey, the bulk of these people are just slow, man. They don't understand statistics. They don't understand statistics and how they apply and how you can trust and use statistics to tell you about the general behavior of a breed. Like, wow, okay, maybe we're taking it for granted how complicated it is, how complex that is to understand. Maybe we're just taking it for granted, but these people just don't get it.
They just won't be convinced by anything. You can't listen to them. You just can't.
Let me go to Kelly. You're on with attorney Kenneth Phillips.
So he basically just called them all dumb. And now I'm about to get a call from another one. So they're about to be all worked up. Oh.
Who is I guess,
roasting.
in the crosshairs of the pit bull loving community because they say he spreads false information and hates pit bulls. They want his law license pulled. Kelly, go ahead.
Hey, Rover. I agree with him to a certain point, but it's not just pit bulls. It's any animal that you take into your own house at your own risk.
See,
it's their animal
once
instinct.
again, she don't get it. Lord. Nobody's denied and nobody said it's just pit bulls. She's not with us. Starting out, she's not even on our page. Man, this is why I won't debate with them, because they don't get it.
Point, but it's not just pit bulls. It's any animal that you take into your own house at your own risk. It's their animal instinct. And what you just said, Rover, I was a proven fact. My animal house dog, which was a boxer shepherd, dragged me off of my sectional.
A boxer shepherd? So it's bully breed, part bully breed. Okay. And shepherd?
And dragged me around the floor like a rag
So
doll.
this is blah, 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 just babbling now.
Me scarred and damaged. So it's just not pit bulls. It's any animal because it's their animal instinct. You don't know what they've been through or what will trigger their instinct.
What they've been through. Who cares? I don't know and don't care. You don't know what I've been through. But you got the right to trust that I won't knock you out for no reason. Just randomly sock you in the face. Okay? We trust people like that every day and we don't know what they've been through. So I don't want to hear what no dumb mutt been through. A leech that don't get nothing but free stuff is worthless life. And if anything was done to him, most likely it was done in self-defense. Seeing how they always attacking people.
Attack, that's your risk.
But I would say this, Kelly. Sure, you never know. Any kind of dog, your poodle could attack you. Your golden retriever could bite you. The issue, then the point that I've always made, and people can't wrap their head around this, and maybe Ken would agree with me. The point that I've always tried to make is, if you get bit by your golden retriever, your 2-year-old gets bit by your golden retriever, probably going to survive. If your 2-year-old gets bit by the pit bull, the damage is going to be much more severe and possibly death. Was that a fair statement, Ken?
Of course, Rover. See, look, here's the difference. These other dogs were not bred. They were not hardwired to do what the pit bull has been hardwired to do. This dog started out hundreds of years ago as the dog that would grab the bull by the face to help in the slaughter of the bull. Okay, from there, the dog eventually was used for dog fighting. So this dog has been meticulously bred.
No, it's not just the mentality of the dog. Gotta point this out. It's not just the mentality here. We're talking about the dog has also been equipped with the physical body to carry out these lethal attacks, to act on its mentality. Its mind is ferocious, attack for no reason, anything, and it got the body and muscularity and build to cause maximum damage.
For hundreds of years, for the purpose of violence. When it bites, it doesn't bite to warn you.
And it doesn't stop. They attack until the death.
It doesn't bite to tell you to stay away. When it bites, it grabs, it locks, and it shakes because it's trying to rip off the skin, the muscle, the tendons, the veins. It's trying to kill. It's been hardwired to do that. These other dogs have not been.
Now, people say, and I guess it is a fact, there is no, people think pit bulls have...
Again, at this point, there's nothing to talk about. Don't tell me your personal experience with no mutt. Shut up. Again, Nutter, shut up. I don't want to hear your personal experience with no mutt. All of you ain't talking about no more than 10, 12 years anyways. You even if you raise a mutt from a puppy, you only spent 12 years with a dog. I don't want to hear nothing about your personal experience with no mutt. And most likely even then, that thing probably bite you at some point or try to attack somebody, you have to stop it. So tired of these people and their stupid or whatever it is. Y'all slow or something. I'm just tired of it.
Have a locked jaw, but that's not true, correct?
All right, listen, in court, in one of the cases, they introduced in evidence a very interesting video. What they did was an animal control officer had the pit bull latch onto a tire, and they pulled the tire up on a chain so that the dog was hanging from it. They then shot the pit bull with a tranquilizer dart, so they tranquilized it. It passed out. It would not let go, even when it was unconscious. So you tell me.
On top of that, when these things lock down on people, they can't get it off of them. And that's all that matters. And listen, Nutters, if y'all not bright enough to understand that, that's your problem. We're not going to continue to make ourselves dumb trying to get y'all to understand something this simple.
Is that lock or not?
I haven't seen that video, but that is interesting. I mean, a lot of people have been...
That's more than interesting. Now I'm going to skip through some of this. Kind of a long video.
The dog is at the party. The dog jumps up, bites the woman's nose off, and doesn't just, you're telling me...
Wait a minute. Past that too. Wait a minute.
Pit bull attacks someone, and my pit bull attacks someone...
Disfigured or disabled as a result of a dog.
How much, if I own a pit bull, and my pit bull attacks...
No. We don't want to hear this either. Wait a minute.
People's
kids.
Of course,
this is
the dog that kills the most number of children every year.
So the guy...
One of his pit bulls killed his nephew.
Yeah, right here.
He's waving his finger.
What? The fighting. They went out, tires, and they were bred. How you doing? I'm doing.
You're on with Attorney Ken.
Listen to this caller.
Phillips, go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Ken, how you doing? I'm doing good. Hey, listen, man, I don't know how much research you know about pit bulls, but, they're originally called American Staffordshires, and they were bred to hire to watch rich people's kids when they went out.
I don't know how long ago it was, but that's what they were first bred for. People bred them into fighting. They weren't bred specifically to fight.
Ken, Ken's shaking his head no. I see him on Skype. He's waving his fingers. He's shaking his head. He's saying no.
Yeah. Listen. A guy by the name of Colby was not able to register his pit bull. So what he did was he developed a bigger pit bull. He called it the what you just said, the Amstaff, the American Staffordshire Terrier, and that enabled him to register it. One of his pit bulls killed his nephew after that. Okay?
Wait a second. So the guy that did this, one of his nephews was killed by that?
By one of his own dogs.
The nanny dog, the guy who created the nanny dog, has actually killed one of his family?
Yeah, it's not a nanny dog. This is not Mary Poppins. This is the dog that kills the most number of children every year.
So you're telling me that pit bulls, this is a myth. They were not created to babysit rich people's kids.
Of course not. I can even tell you who started the myth. It was a blind guy who wrote a book back in 1915 who said that a pit bull, was a good dog with children. That's what started it. A blind guy. He had never seen a pit bull before.
And pit bull advocates, they do like to bring this up. They love to bring this up. So again, he went on here just to roast pit nutters. This is hilarious.
Let me go to Rachel. You're on with attorney Kenneth Phillips. Good morning, Rachel.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
Hi.
Okay. I've been listening to In and Out. I had to keep turning it off, the radio, because it's been making me a little bit upset. But Kenneth has said that he has been dealing with these cases since the early 90s. And if you're advertising that you specialize in dog attack cases, then of course that's what you're going to see. And obviously the pit bull is a very strong breed. And I just think that Kenneth has either never owned a dog or never...
Okay. So she's saying that Kenneth is a lawyer who specializes in dog bite cases. So his opinion is being swayed because that's all he sees. So naturally he's going to develop a bad view of pit bulls. When, again, a foolish statement. Because he's looking at the behavior of other dog breeds too and actually comparing them with the bully breeds. Lord, again, we shouldn't have to go over this.
What you're going to see, and obviously the pit bull is a very strong breed, and I just think that Kenneth has either never owned a dog or never been into a shelter and never actually seen the good side of these dogs. If you're seeing the bad side, and
never seen the good side of these dogs. If you're only seeing the bad side, oh, they're really lovable. You should meet one. Shut up. Oh Lord, these people are so predictable.
I've mostly seen the good because I either never owned a dog or never been into a shelter and never actually seen the good side of these dogs. If you're seeing the bad side and what they could do, I've been bitten by my 22-pound beagle before. I've had
and you're still alive.
Attacked by her poodle.
And you're still alive.
And I have friends that have 100-pound pit bulls that will love on you and kiss on you, and I just think that you've never seen the good side to these dogs. Of course, there's death by all kinds of dogs.
Oh, you've never seen the good side of these dogs. So why don't you go up to a pit bull, let it lick on you for 5 minutes, and then you could say, oh, it's all a myth. They're harmless. That's what a dumb person does. I myself, personally, I was around 2 bully breeds for about a half hour. I'm not dumb enough to judge bully breeds based on that half hour. So stop suggesting that I do. We're not like you. That is dumb. Flat out, I'm sorry. That's a dumb thing to do, and I can prove it. It's provable. So this is not my opinion. It is not my opinion. That's what dumb people do. Oh, you should have an experience. Shut up.
I mean, if you want to think about it, people are the exact same way. Are we conditioning people to kill? No. We weren't bred to do that, are we? No. It's the same thing.
Sounds like a very nice lady, but she's misinformed. What can I tell you? She's misinformed. These are the dogs. There have been lots of studies. Let's not talk about her experience with dogs and what she has seen in a shelter. Let's talk about what the doctors have said.
Boom.
The doctors, the trauma physicians, the hospitals. They have said
Statistics.
that this dog is the dog that caused the worst damage, the most expensive medical bills, the greatest number of hospital stays, the longest number of hospital stays.
What's the smart thing to do? Pay attention to the information he's talking about or what she's talking about. Okay? Choose your IQ level right now.
The most number of surgeries, that's this dog. Okay? So I think it's lovely that she's had a great experience with pit bulls.
Yeah. Consider yourself lucky that you ain't been Jacqueline Duran yet. That you ain't been Brooke LeCurry yet. That's all you should look at it as. Oh, I've just been lucky I haven't had my throat ripped out yet.
And listen, I'm not saying every pit bull is bad. You got to understand this. I'm saying that...
And by that, he's saying that he's not saying that every pit bull is going to mutilate or kill someone in its worthless life. Okay, maybe there are some that go through their entire life without mutilating or attacking anyone. It's irrelevant. We're talking about the number and percentage of them that do launch these attacks. That's not hard to understand, nutters. This is elementary stuff.
Pit bulls are intolerably risky. In other words, you don't get it because the risk, which is maybe this big, is of an awful outcome, gigantic outcome, disfigurement, being disabled, being killed.
This is common sense. And you can see the pit bull lover right now scratching their head confused still. Y'all still don't understand, do you? That is, let's continue.
Your kids, your parents, that's why you don't get a pit bull.
In other words, it's like if you were going to get shot, if you're going to keep a gun pointed at you in your own home, and maybe you'll get shot by this gun, you'd rather have it be a BB gun than an AR-15, is what you're saying.
And you really shouldn't even compare it like that. Okay, because a BB gun, if I'm not mistaken, can penetrate human skin. I'm not trying to get shot by no BB gun either. You take a BB to the eye, you're going to need some help. When you talk about bully breeds, these are killers. Killers. To humans, it's no different from having a lion in the home. In fact, it's worse. These things are far more aggressive and savage.
That is what I'm saying, yes.
All right, I have time for one last call here for attorney Kenneth Phillips. Let me go to Stephen. You're on with Ken Phillips. Dogbitelaw.com is his website address. These pit bull lovers want him to be disbarred. They want to take his law license. They say he's a phony giving out bad information. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, so I think that he has the right to kind of say whatever he wants, but I do think that it's important that he speaks factually as he gives out this information. And just this morning, there's been a couple of things that have been, incorrect, ranging just from using the term that pit bulls have been around for, quote, hundreds of years. But the UKC didn't identify it until the 1900s, which would only be 100 years. So false information there. The American Kennel
Well, let's
Club
go one at a time. Hold on. Ken, what do you say about that?
Pit bulls have been banned going back to the year 1400. Okay? They've been around a long time.
So you're saying they were around before they were
acknowledged by the Kennel Club. Exactly. Why should we have to tell you that? Why would you have to inform a person of that? That person would have to be slow. Kids, don't be one of the slow people in the world. Don't be low IQ. The pit bull advocate does nothing but act out low IQ, brainwashed mentalities. Don't be one of those people. This is embarrassing.
Recognized or whatever as a UKC, whatever that is.
Of course.
So what is a pit bull to you?
Excuse me?
Define a pit bull for me.
Listen, yeah, that's the argument of
define a pit bull for me.
Pit bull is. You don't know what a pit bull is by looking at it. Okay, let me just tell you, this has been litigated in court with evidence and with judges who have no stake in this one way or the other. And the courts have ruled that a person of ordinary intelligence can tell a pit bull.
Again, we shouldn't have to go through this. I don't think we should have to suck. Everybody knows these things when they see them. The nutters who love them so much, they know them when they see them. We all know them when they see them. But they're so desperate and they understand they don't have an argument. They just keep regurgitating the same old debunked, low IQ arguments. Define the pit bull for me. We know these things when we see them, and we know their mixes when we see them. That's how distinguishable they are. Okay, their traits and characteristics very identifiable. Their build, and it's not just their head and neck. It's also their legs, the way they stand, how they're built, their muscle insertions, easy to identify. Y'all need to stop with that. That's a weak, tired, debunked, goofy. I mean, y'all turned goofy up to the max. Goofy argument. Shut up with that. Goofy nutters.
Can recognize a pit bull. A pit bull is
but
a dog.
That I think is the point. When you look at this and you think about it, what you're saying is that a pit bull is a visual identification for a dog. Let's look at what a statistic is. A statistic is something based in numbers.
Can you recognize a tank? Can you tell a tank from, let's say, a gun? Can you?
He's roasting them. Came on here to roast them. This is crazy.
There's been plenty of studies where pit bulls have been, quote, identified in the news, but then they do a DNA test on them.
And they're still a bully breed. Nutter, shut up. Don't play the bully breed game with us. Oh, it wasn't a pit bull terrier. It was a different type of bully breed. Oh, Mastiff, oh, boxer. Shut up and get out of here. Nutter. The scary thing is that he probably is not even aware of how his argument is a flawed one. Not even bright enough to understand it. Because why would you then offer a flawed argument? You wouldn't have no confidence in it. You know, so I have to believe that they're just not bright enough to understand how their argument is flawed. To me, that's deep.
What a statistic is. A statistic is something based in numbers.
Can you recognize a tank? Can you tell a tank?
And you get wait a minute. For anybody who think Kenneth Phillips is a punk, you can tell he likes to debate. He likes to argue. And he does it with a good amount of testosterone. He's pretty aggressive the way he takes command of arguments.
From, let's say, a gun? Can you?
There have also been plenty of studies where pit bulls have been, quote, identified in the news, but then they do a DNA test on them and find that there is absolutely no Staffordshire Terrier or any of the umbrella dogs that form a, quote, pit bull for that visual identification.
That's ridiculous. You're wrong. No, you're completely wrong.
I'm absolutely not wrong.
Never happened.
It's happened a lot.
No, you're wrong. Staffordshire Terrier is the name. Listen to me. That's the name that Colby gave to his pit bulls so he could register them. Because the American
Kennel Club recognizes.
No, the American Kennel Club would not register Colby's dogs. So what he did was he created another kind of a name for the same kind of a dog, although it was a bigger dog. He called it the American Staffordshire Terrier, and then they formed the United Kennel Club in order to register it.
That's the same thing he explained earlier in the broadcast. And he had to go over it again for this nutter. And he is right. They have never called a dog a pit bull and then found out that it wasn't even a bully breed. This guy on the phone said that they did DNA tests and found that it was not a pit bull or any of the umbrella breeds. You are lying. Never ever has that happened. Every time they say it was a pit bull, it's always a bully breed. You find one report. Show it to me. Leave a link. I'm not playing no games with you nutters. Leave a link. Do not respond to this video without a link. Leave a link to where they called a dog that launched an attack, a pit bull, and came to find out it wasn't even a bully breed. Let's continue.
That's the name that Colby gave to his pit bulls so he could register them. Because the American
Kennel Club recognizes.
No, the American Kennel Club would not register Colby's dogs. So what he did was he created another kind of a name for the same kind of a dog, although it was a bigger dog. He called it the American Staffordshire Terrier, and then they formed the United Kennel Club in order to register it. That was the purpose of it. So you've got everything wrong.
So you're telling me, Ken, there's never been a case where they said this was a pit bull attack, it looks like a pit bull, and then DNA is done, and, oh, it's not a pit bull, it just looked like one. That's to your knowledge, Ken, that's never happened in the history of the United States.
No, it has never happened.
I'd be happy to send you those. Apparently I'm more well researched.
Listen, here's the thing. It's like if you salt the water, okay? It doesn't have to be filled with salt. The glass doesn't have to be filled with it. There just has to be enough to make it that kind of a dog that's been hardwired to do a certain thing.
No, what is proven out there, what there are studies out there, if we want to have a real conversation about dog bites and things that can prevent them, let's talk about the training methods that we're using on dogs. Because what we do is we have people like Ken coming on the radio and selling false information, which is going to make people treat these animals differently.
Wrong.
They're going to start.
Now this guy is just all over the place. Now he's all over the place. Did he lose you?
To be filled with it. There just has to be enough to make it that kind of a dog that's been hardwired to do a certain thing.
No, what is proven out there, what there are studies out there, if we want to have a real conversation about dog bites and things that can prevent them, let's talk about the training methods that we're using on dogs.
No. How about we not? I don't want to have no discussion about no training methods. Get out of here. No. How about no? Nobody want to have no discussion about no training methods. Ain't no training methods going to give you magical powers. Nutter, you can't control this thing, period. Don't talk to me about some special technique you learned in the Appalachian somewhere. Shut up. Oh, let's just have better training. Y'all had decades to evolve y'all's training. And each year attacks go up more and more and more and more and more. Y'all proven failures. You're proven failures. It's time to stop listening to you. We don't want to hear this nonsense. Y'all been saying the same thing over and over as things have gotten worse.
Because what we do is we have people like Ken coming on the radio and selling false information, which is going to make people treat these animals differently.
Wrong.
They're going to start to use a harder hand. They're going to start to use prong collars. They're going to start to use that type of training method. And it has been proven, study after study, that using those methods results in more dog bites.
What? Kenneth has not said anything about using shock collars. He has not said anything about using no prongs. What is this nutter talking about? What is this nutter going on about? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who got lost right there. Shout out to someone in the super chat. My apologies. Let's continue. I backed it up a little bit. Just bear with me here.
Bites, hands down. That is study. Prong collars, they're going to treat these animals differently.
Wrong.
They're going to start to use a harder hand. They're going to start to use prong collars. They're going to start to use that type of training method. And it has been proven, study after study, that using those methods results in more dog bites, hands down. That is fully proven. What there is not.
So you're here to
So he just made a straw man argument. Okay, I just got to point that out. Kenneth Phillips said nothing about using no special technique to train these mutts.
More dog bites, hands down. That is fully proven. What there is not.
So you're here to tell us that the dogs have been trained to be bad dogs, and you're wrong.
That is not what I said.
Because they've been bred. They've been bred to be violent,
Stephen,
said
has he said anything else that is false? What else do you take issue with before I go, Stephen? Because I got to wrap it up.
I mean, you're happy to wrap it up. I think that's totally fine. Even just being able to define what a pit bull is, you saw how defensive he got when that happened. He's unable to do so. So he knows that the basis of all of his statistics, including his and dogbite.org, are incorrect.
So this person on the phone, once again, is failed. And hanging on to this argument that not all the dogs that the media calls a pit bull is actually a pit bull. That is so sad and pathetic and embarrassing. I would have hung up on that guy. Get this tired, stupid, low IQ argument out of my face, off of my radio program. You goofy nutters. Young people, do not be one of these goofy, regurgitating nutters. Please don't do this to yourself. We gonna give birth to so many people. They gonna roast. They gonna oven roast you. Putting out these goofball arguments. Don't do it. Wow.
You saw how defensive he got when that happened. He's unable to do so. So he knows that the basis of all of his statistics, including his and dogbite.org, are incorrect. He knows that, and that's why he got so worked up.
No, wrong. It's because your premises are completely incorrect. That's why.
No, I'm calling out your premises for being incorrect is actually exactly what's happening.
Kenneth,
Yeah, right.
There's
Okay.
three types of lies.
You know what?
Lies,
I'll
scam, lies,
trade
and
credentials
statistics.
with you anytime, buddy. Anytime.
Kenneth, has this been determined by the courts, what a pit bull is? I mean, he says that you can't define what a pit bull is.
Of course you can define it. Anybody of ordinary
This is
intelligence.
desperation. Whenever they hang on to this idea, oh, we don't know what they look like, people, that's their worst argument. That's the worst argument that they have. It has the least credibility. Whenever that's their final straw, they're done. It's a wrap. But we'll let Mr. Phillips finish these nutters off. Just came on this show and just slapped the nutters around real quick and left.
Can tell what a pit bull is. It is a dog with a certain blocky head, with certain muscular jaws, with a big blocky chest. That's what a pit bull is.
And its whole body, how it's made up. They're very easy to identify.
They come in various shapes and sizes. It's
Short hair, almost look hairless. We know what these things look like.
if you go back, they were more pure in the past. They have been mixed with other breeds, but they are still pit bulls.
And we know that. So, good on Mr. Phillips and Rover's Morning Glory for having this episode to slap the nutter logic around a little bit. Like I said, I believe bully breeds are the easiest targets. The banning of dogs, if it's going to happen, always starts with the banning of the fighting breed, the breed that was bred to attack, bred to fight, bred to not cease its attack, has the instinct to launch attacks unprovoked, to get off and get a lot of pleasure out of launching attacks, to not feel pain when they attack. Hold, bite, hold, and shake cause maximum damage. There's no defending these things, and they have the statistics behind them that proves that there's an increased risk and that they carry more of a risk. So, yeah, it looks bad for pit bull advocates. And this was just for sport. It seems like he came on this show after so many years. If this was done, if this interview was done 5 years ago, that's just 2019. So that's fairly recent. And this is a guy who started doing this, according to him, in the early 90s. Easily the original anti-dog crusader in the game. Shout out to everybody able to join me for this enjoyable. Well, I enjoyed this live stream, and I will catch you all on the next as we continue with this crusade.